Old soldier's regret. Apologizes to alien bride for his age, how war and farming shaped him. No one watched Terra Colony 9 anymore. It was too far, too quiet, and too small to matter. Just farms, dust, and old humans who chose isolation over crowded cities. The galaxy believed nothing important could begin in a place like this. That belief was a mistake. Jeremy Harker woke before sunrise as he always did. His body protested as he stood up, joints stiff, back burning with old pain. He moved slowly, not because he was weak, but because time had taken its share from him. At 67, the mirror showed an old man. The land showed a survivor. He stepped outside, breathing in the cold morning air. The field stretched wide and empty, peaceful, too peaceful. Jeremy did not think of himself as a hero. He did not think of the war either. Those memories stayed locked away, buried deep where they could not hurt anyone else. He was a farmer now. That was all. But today was different. A small shuttle was scheduled to arrive. A strange decision made during a long night of silence. Jeremy had asked for companionship, not expecting an answer. An old human was not valuable in the modern galaxy. Still, someone replied. The sun was low when the shuttle finally descended. Dust rose as the engine slowed. Jeremy felt his heart beat faster, confused by the feeling. It had been years since he waited for anything. The hatch opened. She stepped out slowly, calmly, as if the world was not dangerous at all. Her skin was blue, soft like the sky before nightfall. Her hair was white, long and smooth. Her eyes were silver and steady. She did not look afraid. Her name was Allura. Jeremy felt the weight of his years crash down on him. He apologized at once. For his age, for his scars, for what war and farming had done to him. He expected her to leave. She did not. She looked at him with interest, not pity, as if she saw something beneath the damage, something still strong. That moment should have been small, private, meaningless to anyone else. But far beyond the colony, machines noticed her arrival. Silent scanners marked her presence. Old enemies shifted their plans. Jeremy did not know it yet, but the quiet life he had built was ending, not because he sought war, but because war had finally found him. And this time, it had made a terrible mistake. It had come to a human who had already survived everything it could throw at him. She was never meant to be here. Allura did not sleep that first night. She sat quietly by the window, watching the dark fields stretch into the distance. Terra Colony 9 felt different from any place she had known. It was rough, silent, honest. Nothing here tried to impress anyone. Jeremy slept on the chair near the fireplace, his body worn out by the long day. Even in sleep, his face looked tense, as if he were still guarding something. Allura studied him carefully. To the galaxy, he was old and finished. To her, he felt solid, safe. At dawn, the alarm sounded. A sharp metallic tone cut through the calm morning air. Jeremy was on his feet instantly, moving faster than his age suggested. Years of habit woke with him. He reached for the binoculars, his eyes narrowing as he scanned the sky. A government transport was coming in low and fast. Allura stood behind him, already knowing what this meant. Her calm expression did not change, but something heavy settled in her chest. "They are early," she said softly. Jeremy frowned. Early for what? She hesitated, then she spoke the truth. "They are not here to welcome me. They are here to ask why I am here at all." Jeremy turned to her, confused. Allura explained in simple words. Lumidians were rare, valuable, too valuable to be given to frontier humans, especially old ones, especially former soldiers. She was not supposed to choose her own life. Jeremy felt anger rise, sharp and sudden. "So you broke their rules?" "Yes," she said, "because the rules treat people like objects." The transport landed hard, sending dust across the farm. Officials stepped out. Cold faces, clean uniforms, no warmth in their eyes. They looked at the farm with quiet judgment. They questioned Jeremy first, about the marriage request, about his past, about her arrival. Jeremy answered slowly, carefully. Years of command training guided every word. When they questioned Allura, their interest sharpened. They asked about her skin, her markings, her abilities. Jeremy noticed the way their eyes followed her movements, not like people, like hunters. After hours, the officials left. They said nothing final. That was worse than threats. "They will return," Jeremy said. "Yes," Allura replied, with more force. Jeremy looked at his quiet farm, his hard-built home, then at the alien woman standing beside him. He realized something important. This was never just a marriage. This was a challenge. And somewhere in the galaxy, powerful beings had just learned a dangerous truth. A human had chosen to stand in their way. Start with Part 3, more unique. Part 3, the enemy that never forgot. The first attack came without sound. Jeremy felt it before he understood it, a pressure behind his eyes, a cold weight pressing into his thoughts like fingers searching for cracks. He froze in the middle of the field, one hand still wrapped around a farming tool. This was not fear. This was familiar. Inside the cabin, Allura gasped and dropped to her knees. The markings on her blue skin began to glow, faint at first, then brighter. She pressed her hands to her temples, breathing hard. "They found us," she whispered. Jeremy turned and ran toward the cabin, pain forgotten. Old instincts took control. Whatever this was, it was not natural. It was an attack. He reached her just as the pressure increased. The air felt thick, heavy. Jeremy's vision blurred and memories he had buried clawed their way to the surface. Explosions, screams, fire tearing through the sky. Nix. The war had found him again. Allura looked up at him, her silver eyes wide. "They are scanning," she said. "Psychic hunters, they search for me." Jeremy clenched his jaw. "Let them try." He pulled her against his chest, wrapping his arms around her. He did not know how or why, but instinct told him to hold on, to block, to endure. The pressure grew sharper, like needles against his mind. But something strange happened. The attack slowed. The probing force met resistance. Not a wall, but something harder. Scar tissue. Years of pain, loss, and survival layered over his mind like armor. Jeremy focused on the memories instead of running from them. The battlefield, the screams, the moment he stood alone when everyone else was gone. He did not break then. He would not break now. Allura felt it immediately. The attack weakened. The pressure pulled back as if confused. She stared at Jeremy in shock. "Your mind," she breathed, "it hides me." The presence retreated, leaving the cabin silent once more. The glow on Allura's skin faded. And she collapsed against him, exhausted. Jeremy lowered them both to the floor, holding her steady. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from anger. "They're coming back," he said. "Yes," Allura replied quietly, "and next time they will not be gentle." Jeremy looked around the small cabin, his home, his land, the life he had built to escape war. War had followed him anyway. Outside, the fields were calm again. Birds sang as if nothing had happened. But somewhere far away, the hunters were learning something new. Humans were not easy to read. And some minds were far more dangerous than they looked. The human who stopped running. Jeremy did not sleep that night. He sat at the small wooden table, staring at the wall, listening to the quiet hum of the farm. The same sounds he had trusted for years now felt thin, fragile. Silence was no longer peace. It was a warning. Outside, the fields looked calm. Inside, the war had already begun. Allura watched him from the doorway. She could feel the change in him. The slow farmer was gone. Something older and sharper had taken his place. Not anger, not fear, readiness. "They will return," she said softly. with more hunters with weapons. Jeremy nodded once. He did not ask how soon, he already knew. I ran once, he said after a long pause. After the war, thought if I went far enough it would stop following me. He stood up, joints aching, and walked toward the bedroom. Turns out war just waits. He knelt and pressed his hand against a loose floorboard. The wood lifted easily, revealing a metal hatch beneath. Alora's silver eyes widened as he opened it. Below the floor was a narrow ladder. Jeremy climbed down first, moving with practiced care. The space beneath the house was not a cellar, it was a bunker, clean, quiet, alive with power. Lights flickered on, revealing weapons sealed in cases, shield controls, surveillance screens, and emergency supplies. This was not the work of a farmer. Alora stepped down slowly, understanding settling in her chest. "You prepared for this," she said. Jeremy shook his head. "No, I prepared to never be helpless again." He opened a long case and lifted out a rifle, old but well kept. His hands remembered the weight instantly. The weapon did not make him younger, but it made him complete. "They think humans stop being dangerous when we age," he continued. "They think pain makes us weak." He looked at Alora then, really looked at her. "They're wrong." Alora felt something stir inside her, not fear, respect. "But they have psychic hunters," she warned, "stronger than before." Jeremy gave a small, grim smile. "Good, let them come." He activated the outer defenses. Sensors lit up across the screens. Turrets shifted beneath the soil. The farm slowly became something else. "A trap." Alora stepped closer. "If we fight, there is no going back." Jeremy met her gaze. "I stopped running the moment they touched my mind." Outside, the wind moved through the crops like waves across water. Somewhere beyond the horizon, ships were already changing course. The galaxy believed this was a forgotten farm. They were about to learn the truth. This was a human stronghold, and the human inside it was done being hunted. The mind they could not break. The second attack was not subtle. It struck at dawn, sharp and violent, like a blade driven straight into the mind. Jeremy dropped to one knee as the world tilted around him. The farm vanished, replaced by fire and screams. Nyx burned again. Alora cried out beside him. The markings on her skin exploded into bright blue light, flooding the yard with a cold glow. She staggered, fighting to stay standing. "They brought a mind commander," she said through clenched teeth. "A deep hunter." Jeremy forced himself to breathe. He had faced worse than pain. Pain was familiar. Pain could be endured. The psychic pressure intensified. Voices whispered at the edge of his thoughts, trying to turn memory into weakness, trying to pull him apart. Jeremy did the opposite. He opened the door. He let the memories rise fully. The dead squad, the final stand. The moment he realized no rescue was coming, the fear, the rage, the silence after. The attackers expected him to shatter. He did not. Instead, the pressure slowed, then twisted. The hunters felt it too. Confusion rippled through the psychic link. Alora sensed the change and stepped closer, placing her hand against his chest. She reached for his mind, not to control it, but to connect. "What are you doing?" she asked, breathless. "Showing them what humans carry," Jeremy growled. Their thoughts brushed, then locked together. Alora felt everything, the weight of survival, the endless nights, the stubborn will that refused to stop breathing. Her markings shifted, forming new patterns, stronger, sharper. The psychic hunters screamed. The attack collapsed inward, folding back on itself. One presence vanished entirely, its mind overloaded by what it had tried to consume. The pressure disappeared. Jeremy collapsed onto the dirt, gasping. Alora knelt beside him, shaking, her light fading. "They ran," she whispered. "They were afraid." Jeremy laughed once, short and harsh. "Good." He pushed himself up slowly, every muscle burning. "They wanted a weak human mind." He looked toward the horizon, eyes cold. They found a fortress instead. Allura stared at him with something close to awe. Your pain it protects, it fights. Jeremy wiped blood from his nose. It survived. Far away, enemy commanders were receiving broken reports. Psychic units lost, minds damaged, one truth spreading fast. Human minds were not empty places to invade. They were battlegrounds, and anyone who entered without permission might never leave. When humans refused to fall, the invasion did not arrive quietly. At first the sky darkened with moving shadows. Then the ground trembled. Dozens of enemy ships descended toward Terra Colony 9, their engines roaring like distant thunder. To the invaders this was a simple mission. Capture the Lumidian, remove the human, leave nothing behind. They expected panic. They did not expect preparation. Jeremy stood on the porch of his farmhouse, rifle steady in his hands. His back ached. His knees burned. None of it mattered. His eyes were clear, focused, calm. Allura stood beside him, her markings glowing in slow, controlled patterns. Her breathing was steady now. No fear, no hesitation. They are close, she said. Many minds, one leader, very strong. Jeremy nodded. Then we start with the leader. The first shots came from the fields. Hidden turrets rose from the soil, firing precise bursts of energy. Enemy soldiers fell before they understood they were under attack. Shields flared. Weapons returned fire. The farm shook as explosions tore through the crops. The invaders pushed forward, confident in their numbers. That was their second mistake. Allura raised her hands. A wave of psychic force spread outward, sharp and focused. Enemy minds staggered as fear and confusion hit them all at once. They tried to regroup. Jeremy moved. He did not rush. He advanced with purpose, using cover, timing each shot. Every movement came from years of training that never truly left him. He was not fighting for orders. He was fighting for home. A psychic strike slammed into his mind, stronger than before. Images of death surged forward, trying to drown him. Jeremy welcomed them. He locked onto the pain and pushed back. The psychic attack shattered, rebounding through Allura's connection and striking the enemy leader directly. The leader screamed. Allura gasped, dropping to one knee, but she held the link. Now, she whispered. Jeremy fired. The leader fell. Without direction, the invasion broke apart. Some enemies fled, others surrendered. The rest fell where they stood. Silence returned slowly, broken only by the crackle of burning machines. Jeremy lowered his rifle and exhaled. His hands shook now, but he remained standing. Allura stepped closer, placing her hand over his heart. They will remember this, she said softly. Jeremy looked across the damaged fields, the smoke, the broken ground. Good, he replied. They should. Because today, the galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans do not win by being the strongest. They win by refusing to fall. The lesson written in blood and soil. The galaxy spoke about Terra Colony 9 in whispers. Not because it was powerful. Not because it was rich. But because it did not fall. Days passed after the battle. Wreckage was cleared. Fields were burned and replanted. The farm still stood, scarred but alive. Humans were good at that, rebuilding, continuing. Jeremy moved slower now. The fight had taken its toll. His hands shook when he worked, and his body reminded him of every year he had lived. But his eyes were calm. He had made his choice. Allura stood beside him as soldiers and officials came and went. This time they did not question her right to be there. They did not threaten. They observed, carefully. They had seen what happened. Reports spread fast. Psychic units failed. Mind hunters injured. Commanders lost. All because they underestimated one human mind and the pain it carried. The truth became impossible to ignore. Humans could not be easily controlled. Humans could not be easily broken. Jeremy was offered many things: protection, status, a return to military life. He refused them all. "This is my home," he said simply, "and she is my family." Allura felt pride at those words, not because of power, but because of choice, something her people were rarely allowed. Together they had created something new, not a weapon, not a symbol, a warning. Do not take what humans love. Do not corner them. Do not assume age means weakness. Because humans carry their past with them, every loss, every scar, every memory. And when pushed too far, they turned survival into resistance. On the final evening before the officials left, Jeremy and Allura stood on the porch, watching the sun sink into the fields, the same place where everything had begun. "All this," Jeremy said quietly, "because they thought I was harmless." Allura smiled gently. That was their greatest error. The stars appeared one by one. Somewhere out there, enemies remembered the pain they felt when they reached into a human mind and found something they could not control: fear. Terra Colony 9 returned to silence, but it was no longer forgotten. It was remembered as the place where the galaxy learned a simple truth. You can fight humans. You can hurt humans. You can even outnumber them. But if you push them too far, they will endure. And they will make sure you never forget why you should not have tried. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for more amazing videos.